In today's compilation, we're diving into some of the most controversial moments in Jamaica's political history. We'll explore the dark past of the People's National Party and the controversies surrounding the Jamaica Labour Party. But that's not all. We'll also uncover the truth behind the infamous Finsac scandal. Which political party was really responsible for it? And as we look at Home Electrix, we'll dive into the questions surrounding its sale. Who sold Home Electrix and Rooms? And why does it matter today? With the election season upon us, these stories are more relevant than ever. So let's get into it and uncover the truths that have shaped our nation. Welcome back to Elite Jamaica. And if you're new here, thank you for joining. Now that Jamaica is getting ready for another election, the stakes are higher than ever. The choices we make now will determine whether the country continues on its current path of development or reverts to a period of stagnation and decline. The People's National Party, or the PNP, once a dominant force in Jamaican politics, is again vying for power. But what does their track record reveal about their ability to lead? And what might the future hold if they return to office? To understand these implications, we must critically examine the PNP's past, its underlying philosophies, and the broader societal impacts of its policies. If you find videos like these interesting or informative, please give this video a thumbs up. Your opinion is also important, so please leave your feedback. Under the surface of Jamaica's vibrant political landscape lies a deep-rooted divide, one that has held the country back for far too long. The People's National Party, the once dominant party in Jamaica, now finds itself clinging to the past, perpetuating ideologies that have done more harm than good. Their recent political conference was not just a celebration of party loyalty, it was a blatant display of poor judgment, parading a known drug dealer, a convicted killer, and even a lawyer who once faced drug charges, and also among them was a self-proclaimed sovereign maroon emperor who boldly claims he is not a part of Jamaica at all. Now, this is the new face of the People's National Party today, a party that has consistently tried to destabilize Jamaica, particularly when the Jamaica Labour Party is in power. Since Prime Minister Andrew Holness assumed office, the country has seen tangible progress. The world has noticed.
Jamaica's economy is booming. There's a lot of exciting things going on there, and
Jamaica suffered economic hard times for many years, causing extreme and immense hardships.
In 2013, Jamaica was one of the world's most indebted nations, servicing the national
Several decades, Jamaica has struggled with unsustainable debt. What unsustainable?
Around about 2016, 2017, things started to get better. Every hotel room in Kingston was fully booked, which told me that there was stability.
Jamaica has been recognized for its developments under Holness's leadership. From infrastructure improvements to economic stability, the JLP has been a breath of fresh air. Even Nigel Clark, the former finance minister, was recently appointed as managing director at the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, second in command. This is a testament to the credibility of the current administration.
Jamaica's Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, has been nominated for the prestigious role of Deputy Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund. This nomination marks a historic milestone, as no individual from Jamaica, the Caribbean, or Central America has ever held such a high position within the IMF in its 80-year history.
Yet, the PNP, instead of acknowledging these successes, has resorted to undermining Clark's accomplishments, throwing baseless accusations in an attempt to bring him down. The PNP's actions are not just politically motivated. They are reflective of a deeper issue within the party, a refusal to evolve and an inability to offer real solutions to the problems facing Jamaica today. The PNP's philosophical foundation. At the core of the PNP's philosophy lies a deep-rooted commitment to socialism. This commitment is not limited to democratic socialism, but extends to Fabian socialism. Now, Fabian socialism is a form of socialism that seeks to achieve socialist goals gradually and democratically, rather than through revolution or abrupt changes. It originated in the late 19th century in Britain with the founding of the Fabian Society in 1884. The society advocated for reforms within the framework of existing political systems, using legislation, education, and public persuasion to bring about a more equal society. Fabian socialists believe in the redistribution of wealth, increased government control over key industries, and social welfare programs, but they aim to implement these changes incrementally. Unlike more radical socialists, Fabians typically reject a violent revolution, preferring to work through parliamentary means and slow reform. The movement has influenced several political parties, particularly the British Labour Party, and continues to be a reference point for gradualist approaches to socialism today. So both democratic socialism and Fabian socialism prioritize the distribution of resources over the creation of wealth. This ideological framework has been evident throughout the party's history and continues to shape its policies today. A focus on distributing benefits rather than creating them often results in economic stagnation. The words of former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson resonates here, as he described Jamaican politics as a fight for scarce benefits and spoils, emphasizing a mentality that can cripple a nation's potential for growth. This pervasive mindset fosters a culture of entitlement, where citizens expect rewards without contributing to the economy, ultimately threatening the country's future. Historical context: the Manley era.
At home, Manley's socialist dream had become a middle-class nightmare. If you don't like it, Manley told them, there are 5 flights a day to Miami. In the months that followed, thousands took his advice. Planes were packed with Jamaica's middle classes, taking their money with them.
Examining the historical context, we cannot ignore the devastating economic downturn experienced during Michael Manley's leadership in the 1970s. His aggressive socialist policies, which aimed at asserting government control over the economy's commanding heights, led to a mass exodus of business owners and investors. The hostility toward the productive class, including entrepreneurs and capitalists, resulted in 7 years of negative economic growth, with a total overall decline of 25%. By 1979, Jamaica was worse off than it had been in 1972, a reality that continues to haunt the nation today. This period was marked not only by economic stagnation, but also by significant societal regression, as the government's expansion into the role of the largest employer set the stage for Jamaica's current debt burden, infrastructure decline, and dependency culture. Moreover, during Manley's tenure, public infrastructure deteriorated severely. Roads, schools, hospitals, and water systems fell into disrepair, leaving citizens to grapple with failing public services. Many business owners, disillusioned by the government's policies, fled the country, seeking better opportunities elsewhere. This period was not just one of economic decline, it was also a time when the very fabric of Jamaican society began to unravel. The long-term effects of these policies created a dependency culture, where citizens began to expect government handouts rather than pursuing self-sufficiency and entrepreneurship. So you see, the country have fall down around them, but them not see that because them get the little handout in them hand. So getting the handout, them not even them feel to realize everything else I get destroyed around them and I get sell out. Anyway, back to the video. Economic mismanagement, 1989 to 2007. Even during the PNP's 18.5 years in power from 1989 to 2007, the trend of economic mismanagement persisted. This period witnessed the collapse of Jamaica's black entrepreneurial class, compounded by a continued degradation of infrastructure and a notable lack of economic growth. Instead of fostering an environment that allowed Jamaicans to thrive, the PNP focused on redistributing limited resources among its supporters. This approach led to a culture of dependency, further discouraging productivity and innovation. Instead of encouraging hard work and entrepreneurship, the PNP perpetuated a narrative where rewards were expected without the requisite effort, creating a cycle of stagnation. The government's role in wealth creation. At the heart of the PNP's philosophy is a misguided belief that the government can provide for the people in ways that individuals should ideally be responsible for themselves. Harold Laswell's definition of politics as who gets what, when, and how encapsulates the PNP's focus on distributing benefits rather than creating opportunities for growth. However, without continuous production and wealth creation, there is nothing to distribute. This fixation on socialist ideals has repeatedly proven disastrous, not just in Jamaica, but globally, as evidenced by the failures of various socialist regimes around the world. The intellectual class that supports the PNP may also recognize these truths, but continue to advocate for policies that serve their interests, reflecting a deeper issue within the party, a refusal to evolve and an inability to offer real solutions to the pressing problems facing Jamaica. The risks of PNP's return to power. The prospect of the PNP regaining power raises significant concerns about the immediate and severe consequences for the economy. Business owners, remembering the hardships of the past, would likely freeze any expansion plans and adopt a wait-and-see approach. This hesitation would contribute to a plummeting confidence in the economy, as citizens anticipate a return to the high taxation and the negative growth that has historically accompanied PNP administrations. The resultant lack of confidence would quickly lead to economic stagnation, characterized by businesses halting new hires and potentially laying off workers. Impact on public services and infrastructure. As the economy slows, government revenues would shrink, complicating the administration's ability to provide meaningful pay raises to public sector workers. Under previous PNP governments, police officers, teachers, and other public servants endured wage freezes and minimal increases, while the largest pay increases in recent history occurred under the Jamaica Labour Party. Well, it could have did better. It really could have did better. A little bit, like $14,000 or $15,000 a week. Just really can't cut it. But anyway, it's still the largest. This discrepancy highlights the contrasting approaches to economic management, where the JLP's commitment to fostering an environment conducive to growth resulted in tangible benefits for workers. Moreover, without adequate revenue, the government would struggle to maintain essential public infrastructure. Roads, schools, police stations, hospitals, and public services would once again fall into disrepair, as seen during prior PNP administrations. History shows that when growth stalls, the only remaining options are to increase taxes, borrow excessively, or cut essential services, none of which bode well for Jamaica's future. This cycle of decline leads to further disenchantment among citizens, particularly as they witness the erosion of the quality of services upon which they rely. Contrasting leadership, the JLP's approach. In stark contrast, the Andrew Holness-led JLP government has made significant strides in stabilizing Jamaica's economy, steering the country toward long-term financial stability marked by meaningful economic growth, job creation, and infrastructural improvements. The recent appointment of Finance Minister Nigel Clark as Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund is a testament to the international recognition of Jamaica's progress under JLP leadership. Clark's fiscal policies have successfully guided Jamaica away from the high debt and economic instability that plagued previous administrations. The Holness government has consistently demonstrated that economic growth benefits everyone. When the economy thrives, public sector workers receive better compensation, businesses expand, and essential infrastructure is maintained. This growth mindset is essential for Jamaica's continued progress, in stark contrast to the PNP's past policies, which prioritize benefit sharing without fostering the necessary conditions for economic success. Generational divide and party loyalty. Another critical aspect of this political landscape is the generational divide in loyalty toward the PNP. Many older Jamaicans remain fiercely loyal to the party, driven by nostalgia and a misguided sense of security. This loyalty often manifests in dismissive attitudes toward younger generations who critique the PNP, encapsulated in the saying, "Young blood no know storm." The older generation speaks of Michael Manley as if he were a savior, failing to acknowledge the devastating consequences of his policies on the nation. This blind loyalty is particularly troubling among those from rural areas, where limited access to information perpetuates outdated ideologies. For many, the PNP represents a familiar structure, one that seems natural despite its long history of failures to improve living standards. The role of media. The media in Jamaica also plays a significant role in perpetuating narratives that undermine the Prime Minister's credibility. Outlets such as The Gleaner, CVM TV, and TVJ have been accused of perpetuating lies about the Prime Minister, allegedly stealing money from the public purse. Despite the Integrity Commission's findings that revealed no suspicious activities associated with the Prime Minister, these media outlets continue to propagate the narrative of corruption. This ongoing disinformation campaign serves not only to discredit the current leadership, but also appears to align with the interests of the PNP, suggesting a coordinated effort to destabilize the government. By framing the Prime Minister as a thief, these media entities seek to sway public opinion and foster a climate of distrust, which could potentially influence electoral outcomes. Such tactics further complicate Jamaica's political landscape, highlighting the dangerous intersection of media influence and political power. Lessons from the past. One only needs to look back to the early 1970s to understand the danger of allowing the PNP back into power. When the Jamaica Labour Party lost the election in 1972 and Michael Manley took office, Jamaica had a surplus of US $157 million. That surplus vanished within a year under Manley's leadership, squandered through poorly managed social programs like the Employment Relief Program, ERP, which became known as the Crash Program. While the ERP was supposed to provide jobs for 22,000 Jamaicans, in reality, 77,000 checks were being drawn weekly. Say so much money them with a rob. All of this money was the PNP writing out checks to party supporters. Anyway, I don't want to come for me, so I'm doing what I do. This unsustainable approach led to the IMF loans and the foreign exchange crisis that defined the Manley era. The path forward. We must not make the same mistake again. The path Jamaica is on, under Andrew Holness and the JLP, is one of prosperity and growth. The country is finally stabilizing after decades of economic mismanagement under the PNP. The world is taking notice. The accolades being given to Jamaica's leadership on the global stage are a testament to the progress we have made. Now is not the time to hand in the reins back to a party that has proven time and time again that it cannot lead Jamaica into the future. The PNP's brand of politics is one that rewards loyalty over merit and distributes resources based on political affiliation rather than need. This is not the way forward for Jamaica. Our country deserves better, and the younger generation understands this. We must not be swayed by the nostalgic ramblings of the older generation, who continue to vote for a party that has long outlived its usefulness. Jamaica stands at a critical juncture. The decisions made in the coming months will determine the direction of our country for years to come. The PNP, with its outdated ideologies and poor leadership, is not the answer. We must continue on the path to prosperity, ensuring that future generations inherit a Jamaica that is stable, growing, and full of opportunities. The PNP's time has passed. It's time for the country to move forward. The younger generation is increasingly aware of the need for change. They recognize that the PNP has done little to prove that any of its successors can replicate whatever positive impact they believe Manley had. The economic and social challenges faced by contemporary Jamaica require a forward-thinking approach, one that embraces innovation and progress, rather than clinging to outdated ideologies. It is disheartening to witness older voters prioritize nostalgia over the tangible improvements made under the JLP, as this reflects a broader struggle for the nation's direction. So this election represents more than just a fight for political power. It is a battle for the future of our nation. The PNP's past failures should serve as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the perils of outdated ideologies and mismanagement. Jamaica has already paid a high price for the PNP's experiments in socialism, and we cannot afford to make the same mistakes again. Let us choose a path that promotes growth, stability, and prosperity, ensuring that Jamaica remains a vibrant and thriving nation for generations to come. As Jamaica approaches yet another pivotal election season, it is crucial for us to take a critical look at the major political forces that have shaped the country's past and will influence its future. Recently, we examined the troubling history of the People's National Party, or the PNP, shedding light on its detrimental impact on the nation's economy and political landscape. So, in the interest of balance, it is only right that we now turn our attention to the Jamaica Labour Party, or the JLP. By exploring the JLP's controversial history, from its founding to its modern-day legacy, we can better understand the role it has played in shaping Jamaica's development and its ongoing efforts to steer the country towards progress and stability. If you find videos like these interesting or informative, you can give this video a thumbs up. If not, please be respectful about it. The founding of the Jamaica Labour Party. The Jamaica Labour Party was established on July 8, 1943 by Sir Alexander Bustamante, a charismatic and influential leader known for his passionate advocacy of labour rights. Born William Alexander Clark on February 24, 1884, in Hanover, Jamaica, Bustamante later changed his name to Alexander Bustamante. His leadership emerged from his involvement in the labor movement, where he fought for better wages and working conditions for the Jamaican working class. At its inception, the JLP represented a significant shift in Jamaica's political paradigm. Jamaica was still a British colony, heavily influenced by colonial rule and a political landscape dominated by a small elite. The majority of Jamaicans, particularly the working class, had little to no political representation or agency. Bustamante's mission was clear: to give the ordinary Jamaican a voice and to push for reforms that would ensure social justice, workers' rights, and eventually independence from Britain. The JLP thus emerged not merely as a political party, but as a movement for social equity, democracy, and national pride. Bustamante's imprisonment. Bustamante's imprisonment during the 1938 strikes is a significant event in Jamaican history. He was imprisoned for 17 months due to his outspoken defiance of both the colonial government and the business elites who opposed the labor movement. His leadership in advocating for better wages and working conditions for the working class led him to challenge the authority of the colonial powers. This act of defiance solidified his status as a champion of the people, as he stood firm in the face of oppression, earning widespread support from the laborers and ordinary Jamaicans. His time in prison further highlighted the lengths to which Bustamante was willing to go in his fight for social justice and labor rights, which would later lay the foundation for the Jamaica Labour Party and Jamaica's political future. Bustamante's imprisonment symbolized the struggle against colonial oppression and became a rallying point for the Jamaican populace. His unjust incarceration not only galvanized support for the JLP, but also drew attention to the broader issues of inequality and exploitation that permeated Jamaican society. Upon his release, Bustamante emerged as a national hero, embodying the aspirations and frustrations of the Jamaican working class, and fostering a sense of unity among desperate groups clamoring for change. Bustamante's vision for Jamaica. Bustamante envisioned a Jamaica where economic and political power would be shared among all its people, not just the elite. He believed that political independence was necessary, but it had to be accompanied by economic reform. The founding of the JLP was his response to this growing desire for political representation, equality, and national self-determination. The JLP was not just a political party. It represented a movement for change and hope for a brighter future for Jamaica. In his vision, Bustamante sought to dismantle the structures of colonial governance that favored the wealthy few while neglecting the needs of the majority. He understood that true independence required a shift in power dynamics, allowing ordinary Jamaicans access to education, employment, and essential services. This holistic approach laid the groundwork for the party's subsequent policies and initiative aimed at promoting social justice and economic empowerment. The historic 1944 general election. The JLP's first significant political victory came in 1944, during Jamaica's first general election under universal adult suffrage. Universal suffrage, introduced that year, was a monumental change for Jamaica, allowing all adults to vote regardless of property ownership, income, or social status. Previously, voting rights were restricted to the wealthy, disenfranchising the majority of Jamaicans, particularly the poor. Bustamante's JLP won the election by a landslide, securing 22 out of 32 seats in the House of Representatives. This victory marked a turning point in Jamaica's political history, as it was the first time the working class had a voice in governance. Under Bustamante's leadership, the JLP laid the groundwork for Jamaica's eventual independence from Britain in 1962, focusing on nation building and social development. The 1944 election was not merely a political victory, it was a triumph of the people, signaling a new era in which the voices of ordinary Jamaicans could no longer be silenced. The Bustamante era, leadership and legacy. The period known as the Bustamante era marks the time during which Sir Alexander Bustamante played a central role in shaping both the JLP and Jamaica. Bustamante's leadership was characterized by his firm stance on workers' rights, his populist appeal, and his ability to navigate the political landscape as Jamaica transitioned from colonial rule to independence. Bustamante served as the first Chief Minister of Jamaica, a role that allowed him to directly influence the country's development. His tenure focused heavily on improving conditions for workers, expanding social services, and addressing inequality in post-colonial society. His ability to resonate with the common man, combined with his pragmatic approach to governance, helped consolidate the JLP's power and legitimacy. While Bustamante's policies were instrumental in uplifting the working class, they were also characterized by a paternalistic approach. He often sought to protect the interests of the labor force while maintaining stability within the existing capitalist framework. This balancing act, while beneficial in the short term, laid the foundation for debates regarding the extent of government intervention in the economy and social affairs. Jamaica's independence. One of the most significant achievements of Bustamante and the JLP was their role in Jamaica's march toward independence from Britain. The push for independence began in earnest in the 1950s, and Bustamante's leadership in these negotiations was crucial. While the PNP, under Norman Manley, also advocated for independence, Bustamante's influence ensured that the interests of Jamaica's working class were at the forefront of the discussions. Jamaica officially gained independence on August 6, 1962. In the elections that followed, the JLP under Bustamante's leadership won the majority, and he became the first Prime Minister of an independent Jamaica. His government prioritized nation building, focusing on infrastructure development, social services, and establishing Jamaica's place in the international community. This period saw the JLP's vision for a more equitable society began to take shape, albeit within the constraints of a post-colonial economy grappling with its legacy. During his tenure, Bustamante also focused on foreign relations, ensuring that Jamaica became a member of the United Nations and aligned itself with the other newly independent nations within the Commonwealth. His diplomatic efforts aimed to secure Jamaica's sovereignty on the global stage, fostering alliances that would benefit the nation economically and politically. Economic and social policies. Bustamante's economic policies were conservative, particularly when compared to the more socialist leanings of the PNP. He believed in maintaining a capitalist system while ensuring that workers were protected. Under his leadership, the government initiated several public works projects aimed at improving infrastructure and providing jobs. His administration also introduced programs to improve healthcare and education, although these were less far-reaching than those implemented by later governments. His focus on workers' rights remained a central part of his agenda, with his government passing labor laws that helped secure better wages and working conditions for Jamaicans. While his tenure was marked by occasional unrest, Bustamante's ability to address labor disputes helped maintain stability. However, it is essential to note that his government faced criticism for not fully addressing the systemic issues that persisted in society, such as poverty and racial inequality. Another side of Sir Alexander Bustamante. While Sir Alexander Bustamante is celebrated for his leadership, it's essential to recognize that his tenure was not without controversy. One of the most significant incidents was the 1963 Coral Gardens incident, where tensions between the Jamaican government and the Rastafarian community came to a head. After a violent clash between Rastafarians and police officers in Montego Bay, Bustamante, who was Prime Minister at the time, reportedly ordered the police to bring in Rastafarians, dead or alive. This order resulted in a brutal crackdown on Rastafarians across the island, with many subjected to police brutality, arrests, and the forced cutting of their dreadlocks. The event left a deep scar on the Rastafarian community, with ongoing demands for justice and apologies even decades later. The Coral Gardens incident exemplifies the complex dynamics of power, race, and governance in post-colonial Jamaica. Although Bustamante aimed to assert control and maintain order, the violent repercussions of his policies highlight the fragility of social cohesion and the need for more inclusive governance. The aftermath of this incident remains relevant, as it serves as a reminder of the ongoing struggles for recognition and justice faced by marginalized communities within Jamaica. The challenges of early governance. Despite the JLP's early success, the party faced significant challenges in its efforts to develop Jamaica's infrastructure and economy. World War II had left the global economy in ruins, and Jamaica, like many other colonies, was struggling to rebuild. Bustamante's administration sought to improve healthcare, education, and transportation, but the limitations of a colonial economy hampered progress. The shortage of resources and the slow recovery from the war meant that many of the promised reforms could not be fully realized, leading to frustration among the populace. Additionally, there were ongoing tensions between labor unions and the government, as the working class pushed for more significant changes to improve their conditions. The rise of the People's National Party. While the JLP was building its foundation, Bustamante's cousin, Norman Washington Manley, was building the People's National Party, which he founded in 1938. Norman Manley, a brilliant lawyer and a Rhodes Scholar, was a key figure in the push for universal adult suffrage and political reform in Jamaica. He represented a more socialist ideology compared to Bustamante's labor-focused policies. The rivalry between Bustamante and Manley, though familial, became a defining feature of Jamaica's political landscape. Both men played significant roles in the struggle for independence, but their approaches to governance and economic policy differed greatly. While Bustamante focused on labor rights and gradual reform, Manley sought to enact more comprehensive changes that would address the systemic inequalities presented in Jamaican society. The economic downturn under Michael Manley's leadership. The PNP under Michael Manley, Norman Manley's son, rose to power in the 1970s, promoting democratic socialism as the solution to Jamaica's economic woes. Michael Manley, often referred to as the champion of the poor, introduced policies aimed at reducing inequality, nationalizing industries, and expanding social services, such as education and healthcare. However, despite his popularity among the working class, Michael Manley's socialist policies led to severe economic challenges. The nationalization of industries and government control of key sectors resulted in a loss of foreign investment, leading to capital flight. By the end of the 1970s, Jamaica was facing severe economic hardship, with skyrocketing inflation, high unemployment, and widespread shortages of basic goods. This period of economic mismanagement raised questions about the PNP's ability to govern effectively, and led many to reconsider their support for the party. The decline of the Jamaican economy. During the PNP's tenure in the 1970s, Jamaica's economy suffered immensely. Key industries such as bauxite mining, tourism, and agriculture, critical to the nation's economy, were adversely affected. The government's heavy borrowing led to a debt crisis, and by the late 1970s, Jamaica was on the verge of financial collapse. This period of economic turmoil set the stage for the JLP's return to power in 1980. The JLP's return under Edward Seaga. In 1980, the JLP, led by Edward Seaga, won a decisive victory, securing 51 out of 60 seats in Parliament. Seaga, who had served in various capacities within the JLP, including as Minister of Finance, inherited a country in dire economic straits. His administration faced the immediate task of rebuilding Jamaica's economy and restoring international confidence in the nation's leadership. Seaga's economic reforms. Seaga adopted a free market approach, moving away from Michael Manley's socialist policies. His government sought assistance from the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, implementing austerity measures to stabilize the economy. Seaga also encouraged foreign investment, leading to significant infrastructure projects, including the construction of new highways, schools, and hospitals. Seaga's administration is credited with transforming Jamaica's economy during the 1980s. Under his leadership, inflation decreased, unemployment rates fell, and foreign investment returned. The Montego Bay Free Zone, for example, became a hub for manufacturing and tourism, contributing to the revitalization of the island's economy. However, these reforms came at a cost, as the austerity measures often meant cuts to social programs, leading to discontent among certain segments of the population. The return of the PNP and economic stagnation. Despite the gains made by Seaga's administration, the PNP returned to power in 1989 under Michael Manley and later under P.J. Patterson. The PNP's return brought a shift in economic policy, moving back to a more state-controlled economy, though not as far-reaching as Manley's socialist experiments of the 1970s. While the PNP government under Patterson emphasized infrastructure development and education reform, the country's economic growth stagnated during this period, with issues of rising crime, unemployment, and poverty continuing to plague the nation. Under Patterson's leadership, Jamaica struggled to achieve the levels of growth and foreign investment seen during Seaga's tenure. The high levels of public debt and the fiscal mismanagement contributed to a period of economic stagnation, and many of the gains made during the JLP's previous administrations were lost. The PNP also faced multiple accusations of corruption and mismanagement, further damaging its reputation and calling into question its commitment to the welfare of the Jamaican people. The JLP's continued legacy. Throughout the years, the JLP has remained a significant political force in Jamaica, continuing its legacy of advocating for economic development, political transparency, and workers' rights. The party's focus on pro-business policies, attracting foreign investment, and maintaining stability has helped guide Jamaica through various challenges. Recent JLP administrations, such as that of Andrew Holness, have emphasized economic reform, infrastructure development, and reducing public debt, building on the party's historic commitment to improving the lives of ordinary Jamaicans. Holness has also focused on addressing crime and poverty, while pushing for greater transparency in governance and maintaining strong relations with international partners. His government has been marked by efforts to modernize the economy and improve Jamaica's standing on the global stage. As Jamaica moves forward, the Jamaica Labour Party's enduring legacy is a reminder of the critical role it has played in shaping the nation's political and economic landscape. From its founding by Sir Alexander Bustamante to its modern leadership, the JLP continues to champion the values of social justice, economic reform, and national progress, striving to build a better future for all Jamaicans. So as the nation approaches another pivotal election, the JLP's history offers valuable insights into the complexities of governance and the ongoing challenges that Jamaica faces. Thank you. The Financial Sector Adjustment Company, or Finsac, was created by the People's National Party, and its intervention was supposed to save Jamaica from economic disaster. But instead, it left us with long-term wounds.
Even my children, them sometimes them confused because they've never used to this kind of life.
After working hard for several years to build his dream house, he was thrown out in an instant. The Finsac entrepreneur claims his house, which was valued at between $9 and $11 million, was offloaded by Finsac for just $3.5 million.
By shutting down numerous banks, consolidating them into a single entity, and selling that entity to foreign interests, Finsac reshaped the Jamaican economy, often to the detriment of local stakeholders. So in this video, we'll dive into the inception of Finsac, the economic conditions leading to its creation, the banks it shut down, the scandals and lawsuits that followed, and how these actions culminated in the consolidation and eventual sale of Jamaican banks to foreign interests. Like the video and let's proceed. Economic boom and bust. The late 1980s and early 1990s, a time when Jamaica was basking in economic glory. The economy was booming, life was good, and prosperity was the order of the day. But like all good things, it was too good to last. By the early 1990s, Jamaica was hit by high interest rates, rampant inflation, and a classic case of economic mismanagement. The Bank of Jamaica's reserves were as dry as a desert, and the once glorious banking environment was teetering on the brink. Between 1991 and 1995, inflation averaged over 40% annually, and interest rates soared above 42%. Now talk about a recipe for disaster. The creation of Finsac. Now enter Finsac, or a knight in shining armor, or so we would have thought. Established in 1997 under the watchful eye of the People's National Party, or PNP, Finsac was supposed to be the hero that would save us from financial doom. Their mandate? Stabilize the financial sector that was collapsing faster than a house of cards. But instead of saving the day, Finsac's interventions left Jamaica with long-term scars that still haunt us today.
Mr. Poyser is a real estate developer who says he borrowed $9 million to help fund the housing development. But like other entrepreneurs bitten by the Finsac bug, he saw his debt ballooning out of control.
Now let's take a look at the first wave of closures. One of the first victims of Finsac's rescue mission was Century National Bank, led by Don Crawford. Century was accused of mismanagement, and the politically motivated actions led to the bank's assets being frozen and taken over. Century National Bank's closure was just the beginning of Finsac's takeover spree.
I've indicated, well, firstly, Finsac is indeed the big black bear that we have never seen before. They're like the great white shark, and it's hungry. And they have overlooked all aspects of principle, decency, honesty, transparency, integrity, and they have maintained a very vicious profile from the very beginning. What they did to Century in itself, without prejudice to the other victims, is a colossal disaster. We are undoubtedly the biggest victims.
Finsac did not stop there. Their list of casualties grew to include Eagle Commercial Bank, Workers Savings and Loan Bank, Citizens Bank, Island Victoria Bank, Citizens Merchant Bank, Corporate Merchant Bank, and Island Life Merchant Bank. These banks, already on life support due to severe liquidity problems and deposit runs, were put out of their misery by Finsac's intervention. But who needs stability when you really have chaos? No. Here are some of the businesses and individuals affected by Finsac. The ripple effects of Finsac's actions extended far beyond the banks themselves. Countless businesses and individuals found themselves caught in the crossfire of the financial sector's collapse. The businesses. Eagle Financial Network. This conglomerate, which included Eagle Commercial Bank and other financial services, was dismantled under Finsac's watch. The disintegration of Eagle's businesses resulted in significant job losses and a blow to investor confidence. Workers Savings and Loan Bank. Workers Savings and Loan Bank closure affected numerous small and medium enterprises that relied on its services for loans and financial support. The sudden unavailability of credit stifled business growth and expansion plans. Island Life Insurance Company. One of the largest insurers in Jamaica, Island Life's financial stability was undermined by Finsac's interventions. The company struggled to honor policies and faced a loss of trust among policyholders. Individuals affected by Finsac's action. Don Crawford. The founder of Central National Bank, Crawford, faced allegations of mismanagement and saw his life's work dismantled. He was left to battle legal accusations and attempt to clear his name amidst a storm of controversy. Carl Wright, the head of Eagle Financial Network, witnessed the disintegration of his company's financial empire. He faced not only the loss of his business, but also reputational damage and legal challenges. Also, ordinary Jamaicans were affected. The broader Jamaican public, including depositors, employees, and small business owners, suffered immensely. Many saw their savings wiped out, their jobs lost, and their businesses falter due to the financial instability caused by Finsac's actions, lawsuits, and scandals. And let's not forget the drama. Don Crawford and other bank owners weren't going down without a fight. They alleged conspiracy, unfair treatment, and politically motivated actions. Lawsuits flew left and right, painting a picture of a financial sector mired in scandal and mismanagement. However, we can't have a financial crisis without a little bit of courtroom drama, though. Consolidation into Union Bank. In a move that was supposed to bring stability, Finsac merged the assets of the failing banks into Union Bank of Jamaica in 2000. This Frankenstein's monster of a bank was supposed to be stronger and more resilient. But, as you guessed, it wasn't. The consolidation process was a mess, and confidence in the banking sector continued to plummet. Sale to RBTT. In 2001, the Union Bank of Jamaica was sold to the Royal Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, RBTT. Critics saw this as the ultimate betrayal, a loss of Jamaican financial sovereignty as control of our banks was handed over to foreign interests. Because nothing screams economic independence like selling your banks to another country. Impact on the economy. The aftermath of Finsac's actions was a far-reaching economic disaster. Job losses, reduced access to credit, and a massive loss of confidence in the financial system were just the tip of the iceberg. Entrepreneurs and investors watched their fortunes evaporate, and the ripple effects of these actions are still felt today. The entrepreneurial spirit of Jamaicans was crushed, and a culture of risk aversion took root among new generations of professionals. Finsac was created by the People's National Party, and its intervention was supposed to save Jamaica from economic disaster. But instead, it left us with long-term wounds. By shutting down numerous banks, consolidating them into a single entity, and then selling that entity to foreign interests, Finsac reshaped the Jamaican economy, often to the detriment of local stakeholders. I really did have to repeat that. The legacy of these actions underscores the complexities and challenges of managing a national financial crisis without causing long-term harm to the economy and its citizens. So much for the knight in shining armor. At the moment though, Jamaica is experiencing exceptional growth, but one step in the wrong direction and it could all come happening again. Thank you for watching. And if you don't like the video, you know if you like it. Bless.
Because although I came into the party through Dr. Omar Davis, because I knew him in the financial sector, where I had been like one of the leading corporate lawyers in Jamaica. We don't come to make no money out of politics. We don't make my money already. Now big lawyer in this country, big investment banker.
Oh my God! Wow!
In the early 1980s, Kingston, Jamaica was buzzing with ambition and growth. Among the city's dreamers was George Yu, a businessman with a vision. George Yu and his family established Home Electrix, originally known as Home Electrix and Rooms, with a mission to transform the local retail landscape. Their goal was to provide the growing middle class with affordable and quality home appliances and furniture. Home Electrix quickly became more than just a business. It was a symbol of hope and progress. The Yu family poured their hearts into every aspect of the venture, convinced they were building a lasting legacy. Yet, as the years passed, unforeseen challenges began to surface. Their dream, so full of promise, was about to face a test they could never have imagined. Give the video a thumbs up and let's proceed. Growth and development. Home Electric's strategy included investing in both urban and rural areas to reach a broad customer base. They offered a wide range of products, from refrigerators to living room sets, often providing credit to customers who otherwise couldn't afford such items. This approach helped build a loyal customer base and facilitated rapid expansion. By 1995, Home Electrix had become a household name in Jamaica, known for its competitive prices and reliable service. Rebranding and competition. In the early 1990s, Home Electrix and Rooms rebranded to simply Home Electrix. This change was driven by a desire to streamline their brand and create a stronger identity in the market. The rebranding aimed to unify their product offerings and improve marketing efficiency. During this period, Home Electrix faced significant competition from Culprits, a major player in the Jamaica furniture and appliance retail market. Culprits, known for its aggressive marketing and extensive product range, posed a constant challenge to Home Electrix. But despite the competition, Home Electrix maintained a strong market position through its customer-focused strategies. The financial crisis and the creation of Finsac. In the late 1990s, Jamaica faced a severe financial crisis, characterized by high interest rates, a depreciating Jamaican dollar, and widespread economic instability. In response, the Jamaican government established the Financial Sector Adjustment Company, or Finsac, in 1997. The creation of Finsac was spearheaded by the then Finance Minister, Dr. Omar Davies. Its purpose was to manage and restructure the bad debts of struggling banks and businesses to stabilize the financial sector. Finsac was established under the Public Bodies Management and Accountability Act. The need for Finsac arose from the severe liquidity crisis that left many financial institutions on the brink of collapse. The government's intervention aimed to prevent a total economic meltdown. However, Finsac's methods, including the forced takeovers and asset seizures, were often seen as draconian. Finsac's impact on Home Electrix. Home Electric's troubles began with the financial crisis. Burdened by high interest rates and declining sales, the company struggled to service its debt, which included a significant loan from Workers' Bank. Despite efforts to renegotiate the debt, including an offer to purchase the bad loan for 35 cents on the dollar, Finsac refused and instead sold the debt to Texas-based investor Dennis Jocelyn's Jocelyn Jamaica for 25 cents on the dollar. In 2002, Jocelyn Jamaica, now holding Home Electric's debt, appointed a receiver to seize control of the company's assets. This led to the forced closure of key locations, including their flagship store at Clock Tower Plaza, causing significant operational disruptions. The police were involved in removing George Yu and his family from their premises. This aggressive takeover resulted in massive layoffs and ultimately the closure of all Home Electric stores. Scandals and controversies. Finsac's operations were marred by allegations of corruption and mismanagement. There were claims that certain assets were undervalued and sold off cheaply to connected individuals and entities. The lack of transparency in Finsac's dealings led to widespread mistrust and accusations that the organization exacerbated the economic crisis it was meant to resolve. The human and economic toll. The aggressive actions of Finsac and a subsequent takeover by Jocelyn Jamaica had devastating effects. The Yu family lost not only their business, but also their personal savings and assets. Many employees lost their jobs, contributing to the economic downturn in the communities served by Home Electrix. The Yu's family's experience became a poignant example of the harsh realities of Finsac's policies. The Finsac intervention, while successful in stabilizing the financial sector, left a legacy of ruined businesses and devastated lives. The Home Electrix case highlights the need for a more balanced approach in economic policy, one that considers the broader social and human impacts. This story serves as a reminder of the importance of compassionate and balanced economic governance. In our next video, we'll uncover the story of a Jamaican giant, often dubbed the Black Rock of Jamaica. Which company do you think it is? Stay tuned to find out, or if you know, let me know in the comment section down below. Until we meet again here on Elite Jamaica, thank you so much for watching.